How important is this position within the EU?
Well, it's incredibly important, Belle, in many regards. This is the person who's going to replace Jean-Claude Juncker, the head of the Commission, one of the three presidents of the European institutions. Clearly, Jean-Claude Juncker has an awful lot of influence, particularly when it comes to policy area and the direction of Europe. And in many regards, in trying to make this process more democratic, they've come up with this system that's called the Spitzencandidate, the lead candidate. That is that each of the political groupings in the European Parliament get to decide who they would like to represent them, trying to make the election next year, the European elections, a bit more about personality, a bit more about someone that voters can relate to. There is one caveat to all of this, even though, and we know that Franz Timmermans, for example, is the Social and Democrats candidate, even though the European Parliament is pushing to try and make whoever the lead candidate of the individual parties is, and whoever the largest party is should in theory become the Commission President. It will still be up to national leaders, to the EU Council to decide. So irrespective of who wins this race, they could potentially ultimately pick another candidate.
And Darren, just talk us through those candidates, the choice that party members have today.
Indeed, and actually delegates are arriving, thousands of them here at the EPP Congress. They will be voting at lunchtime to choose between Manfred Weber, as you say, a Bavarian politician who has got the backing of many leaders, not least of all Angela Merkel, seen as the clear favourite in this race. I think what's going to count against him necessarily is potentially that he is German and that he's got very little experience really outside of the European Parliament. And the other person is this man. Well, it's not quite him. It's Alex Stubb. Some of his supporters. He's led a rather enthusiastic race to many regards, presenting himself as the kind of change candidate in these elections, Belle. We could get a cheer potentially for him. I don't know. There you go. Well, I say they're enthusiastic. They're a little bit enthusiastic. And he is the former Finnish Prime Minister, Finance Minister and Foreign Minister. Clearly got an awful lot of experience. He's an Ironman runner. But he is, as he revealed himself, the outside candidate. He hasn't got many of the backing of political leaders. And one of the issues that does divide them, though, is this issue of Hungary and the rule of law, with, it must be said, Alex Stubb trying to take a tougher line on this issue. And we spoke to Hans-Geir Pottering, he is a former EU politician, about this particular issue, and this is what he had to say.
I think that the Hungarian partners and friends, they support Manfred Weber, and this seems to me an indication that they want to come to a situation that nobody takes them into question anymore. This is a hope, but let's see how future develops. But we have now the time to make clear that we have common values, and all parties in the European People's Party have to commit themselves to these values.
So what to do with Hungary, what to do with Viktor Orban and his party's position inside the EPP is and has been one of the talking points of this Congress. I suspect we're not going to see a solution to that today. We are also going to hear, it must be said, from Jean-Claude Juncker and Michel Barnier, who are expected here. The Irish Prime Minister, the Taoiseach Leo Varadkar, is also here. I suspect Brexit will be on the agenda. But all eyes will be at lunchtime on who's going to win this battle, who is going to become the Spitzencandidate, the lead candidate for the EPP. Is it going to be Manfred Weber or indeed Alex Stubb? Whoever it is will take a lead role in the elections next year. But as I say, the expectation is that it will be Manfred Weber, that he will be, I suppose, probably the person most likely to take over from Jean-Claude Juncker when he retires, in the middle of next year.